Hello, hello, everyone. My name is D'Andrea Bolden, and you are listening and tuned in and watching Her Holistic Living Videocast. And so today I have two wonderful guests. I have Shelby Frederick with me out of Ohio, and I have Yerinita, I think it's Fuller, with me as well. And she, I believe, is in the wonderful state of Illinois. And so today we're going to be talking about a woman's only topic. So if there's any men tuning in, please log out now. And so we're going to be talking about a conversation that every woman needs to have, but no woman seems to be having. And we're going to talk about perimenopause. Now, before I let them dive in, let me just speak for myself, where it seems like you hit your 30s and your 40s, and out of nowhere, somebody just punches you to the ground, and you can't figure out who's punching you, why they're punching you. You're back and forth to the doctor explaining that some invisible puncher is trying to take you out. They don't believe you. And it's an invisible puncher called perimenopause. And this topic has to be addressed, because the reason why this is a woman's only topic, because only women have the privilege and the pain of going through the process of perimenopause, which eventually leads to menopause. So before we jump in, I want to give you guys two really quick definitions and some statistics, and then we're going to dive into this topic, or maybe I'll just let us just kind of dive in. So how about we just dive in? So I need you guys to chime in and talk to our viewers, our listeners, and let them know what is the 411 when it comes to peri. What is going on? Why are we not talking about perimenopause? Why is this not a topic?
Well. When you just mentioned about somebody got punched, it's very serious. It's funny, but it's not funny, because I literally felt like I was getting sick. Like I was having all type of symptoms that didn't make any sense. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you mentioned, sis, am I dying? Like, do I need to go to the doctor and see what's going on? Because literally for me, everything hurt. Everything hurt. Bones crack, joints hurting, fingers when I'm writing begins to get stiff, headache starting from here all the way down to the back of the neck. I was like, wait a minute. I thought it was dealing with the blood pressure or stress, but no. And you guys, I've been so busy with different things that I didn't realize I had not seen her for 6 months. I said, oops, wait a minute, because I don't need her. You feel me? I had those concerns when my husband was here. I don't need her. So I'm like, I wasn't even paying attention to the fact that she was gone, or she was leaving somewhere. She might come back. But this whole thing, I believe that women want to talk about it, but it's so personal. And then when you are a woman of faith, it's like one of those subjects that people fear. People end up saying, well, you just got to trust God.
Yeah, we got to trust him, but we got to know what's going on with our bodies too.
I trust that he's going to let me know what's going on with me. Yeah. And so a lot of people are silent about it, and they are in that fear that I was for a moment, thinking that something was, we started thinking cancer, we started thinking all types of things. Jesus. And it's really not even that. So I do believe that they want to talk, but these type of platforms open it up for them to talk.
I love it. Shelby, go ahead, dive in.
Yes. So I'm fortunate enough to be in a community or a sisterhood where we talk about all things. So when stuff get to acting crazy, we get to talking about it. So we do talk about how we're feeling, in our bodies. Well, girl, is you going through, well, what is you having, So we talk about it amongst ourselves, but it's not a conversation that we have actually had with our mothers. And it's like, well, did y'all like what? Did y'all have this? I know that you did, but they just kind of like just dealt with it. And so I do have a cousin who is actually a gynecologist. And so there are times where I've been able to have conversation, with her about some of the concerns, that I have. I have an excellent, GYN doctor, but it's something. It's really something. I probably first noticed it like in sometime in my 40s, where I was having like the hot flashes and like the leg cramps and the night sweats and things like that. And then it was like it just kind of stopped for a while. But baby, I don't know what happened around the month of August, which was the month before I turned 54.
Wow.
Them hot flashes came back, and I was just like, I thought, okay, I'm good. I still have my cycle every month, but I was like, what is going on? Like, I hadn't had them in years. Them things came back
Wow.
like a vengeance. And I
Jesus.
said, I got to get something because this is not working. It was disrupting everything. It was disrupting my sleep. I'm real intentional about, my how I am emotionally and
Yeah.
mentally, because I know I can go there. But that right there, I was not ready. I was not ready. And this is what, December. So August, September, October, November. So I'm on month number 4, no cycle. And I pray it don't never come back. I pray I'm on the road to it being gone. Okay.
Listen, I have I can't remember who it was, but I was talking to someone and I laughed so hard because, and I want to get into the distinction between perimenopause and menopause. And so
Mhm.
menopause is when a woman has gotten to a point, and I'll read it off here, but it says a stage in a woman's life where your menstrual cycle permanently stops. So you should be going 12 consecutive months without a menstrual period. This woman
Mhm.
went 11 months and didn't have one. I fell out
Yes.
laughing so hard. It's like her body kicked back on. And so I do want to say that one thing. And so I want to go back to perimenopause.
Mm.
So menopause means
Mhm.
basically, to just make it simple, 12 months without a cycle. Perimenopause is the transitional phase that leads up to menopause. And so this is when your ovaries begin to produce less estrogen, which is a major hormone in the female body. And so this
Mhm.
phase typically starts in a woman's 40s, but can begin earlier or later. And it can last until your body goes to menopause. And that's when menstruation completely stops. Now, every woman is different. Every symptom a woman has is different. The
Yes.
severity is different. The
Mhm.
age that things start and stop is different. And so it's so important to understand as we have this conversation that every woman is different. You,
Mhm.
even if a woman has talked to her mother, the symptoms and the way things happens with her and happens with her mother may not be the same. Now, a lot of the older women I have talked to had hysterectomies. So they were like, yeah, I kind of didn't go through that because I had a hysterectomy. And so that's
Mhm.
another thing where a lot of older women, so I'm talking about women like 60 plus, 70 plus,
Mhm.
they had hysterectomies. So they didn't really go through that phase. Their body just basically had to abruptly adjust to everything being gone, which is a totally
Mhm.
different situation. And
Yes.
so they weren't necessarily sure about that. But going back to what you all were talking about is this is a conversation we have to have, and it needs to be had in the church. What greater place when we're fellowshipping and talking with other women, because like you said, so many people have things going on and don't know what's going on. For me,
Mhm.
I'm feeling good, exercising every day, exercising 2 days a week. And then one day I tried to start the car, meaning my body, and it was like the car wouldn't come on. I was like, what's going on? I'm pumping the
Mhm.
gas, I'm turning the key. It was like my body just shut down. I can't explain it. I don't understand it. Even when I started exercising back up again, it was like my body was giving me some resistance. And it is just the weirdest thing. I was going back and forth to the doctor, and that's when I started, because I'm gonna figure it out. I started seeing all
Mhm.
this stuff about perimenopause and all these women talking
Mhm.
about perimenopause and all the symptoms that they're having things like that. So statistics say, so y'all say y'all can see if these statistics hold true with you. Statistics say that 90% of women experience perimenopause symptoms, and one of those symptoms is irregular menstrual cycles. Um, the average age of menopause, so this is 12 months without a cycle, is 51. I usually see women get closer to 60. A lot of the women I talked to were closer to 60 before they completely stopped. Approximately 1.3 million women in the US enter menopause each year. About 5% of women experience early menopause, meaning before age 45. So let's talk about some of these perimenopause symptoms and then let's jump back in. The first one is going to be irregular menstrual cycles or periods, shorter, longer, heavier, or lighter, just depends on the person. Hot flashes and night sweats, mood swings, irritability, or depression. I know anxiety is one for some as well. Fatigue and sleep disturbances. Some women will start having sexual dysfunctions and issues with having intercourse. Decreased libido, no desire. Memory issues and trouble concentrating, brain fog. And that last one has really been getting me. And I've been noticing it so much. I be talking to my husband and I will literally forget what I just said as soon as it comes out of my mouth. And I'm like, what were we talking about? He's like, yeah, we were talking. And he's been noticing some of that stuff too. And so for me, I started having irregular cycles. That was the thing. Now they have since lightened up and stopped, but I was dealing with the point where I called the doctor because I'm like, I keep having cycles. Like they just go away for a couple days, come back, it'd be gone for a week, and then knock on the door again. I said, what is going on? And I was having all these other weird symptoms and stuff like that. I haven't been a hot flasher, but for years now, I like to, in the wintertime, crack the window with the space heater on so hot that the air from the outside balances it out and makes it chilly. But that's where I'm at with that. Like people talk about things like frozen shoulder. People even talk about having digestive issues. So talk to me about where are you at like with this perimenopause? What has caught you off guard? What do you even in the conversation of even in the desire to have this conversation? Where do we start and what do we say to other women? Like what age should they? I really think people need to be on guard for perimenopause by their mid-30s. I think stuff starts happening at mid-30s, but you don't really recognize it to your 40s. Because I look back now and I'm thinking some stuff was happening in my 30s. But I want you guys to chime in, let's talk about perimenopause. How do we what do people need to know? How do we tell people that type of thing? Like how do we get this information out here? Because I don't want to see other women somewhere huffing and puffing like me, running back and forth to the doctor, looking like Thomas the Train, trying to figure out what's going on. And then the doctors they see insurance, they don't have let's check your clavicle. That's your bone right here. I'm being sarcastic. But let's check your fingertips. They're gonna run your insurance up with a bunch of unnecessary tests when sometimes you're dealing with peri. Let's talk.
Wow. I didn't even know who peri was. I was like for months trying to figure out what was wrong. I said it could be stress, it could be grief, it could be life transitions. My body is just reacting to it. And then I just happened to be on TikTok and some lady, I saw the name. And then she started saying, are you having these symptoms? And then she started pointing them all out. And I said, Lord, hold on.
Wow.
So it started making sense. I said to myself, okay, I know this is going to affect not just me. This is going to affect, and I'm trying to regulate what's going on with me, right? And so I'm like, I just made 50. But again, I haven't had a cycle in a line, but I wasn't paying attention. The hot flashes make me cry. I'm being honest. Because I can't seem to regulate whether I'm hot or cold, whether I need the windows open or the heat on. And it's not just me going through it, it's people in the household because I'm getting up in the middle of the night, y'all, going and messing with this thermostat like crazy, right? Wow. I can't even regulate. So I keep my feet out of the cover and it's wild, right? And it starts to honestly mess with your mental state because you're like, well, man, am I going crazy? Because the people in your house are looking at you like, why you going from hot to cold, hot to cold. So I had to tell my older ones, Liz, I think Perry is on the scene and I'm trying to figure all this stuff out. Another thing is, this one is more sensitive for me, more than the hot flashes. My bones feeling like they're cracking. Like when I move my wrist, I hear it. I move my knee, I hear it. I moved my hip the other day. I said, wait, what is this? And I looked it up and it said, yes, because of the estrogen. You're losing estrogen. And if you Google your symptoms, Google will kill you. Okay?
Listen,
Google will help
Google
you
will
think
write a
you're dying.
prescription only the morgue can fill.
Talking about osteoporosis. I said, no. I said, no, no, let me get up off of Google. What I wanted to say is, okay, if I'm losing estrogen, can I go get it in the bottle, y'all? Do they sell estrogen in the bottle? Because
listen, I've been trying to figure out what can I eat to something. Come on.
So I just been trying to figure it out, and the headaches are bad. They when they come, they are pretty bad because they don't just reach, the head. They reach in the back, in my neck. I check my mixture. It's not my blood pressure, nothing. It literally reaches down in the back of my neck, and I'm like, this cannot be normal. And so if I wasn't the type of person that will talk about it, reach out for help, I really don't believe that I will be in a good mental space right now, because you could chuckle about it and get some humor out of it, but this is a very life-changing thing. And there's so many other symptoms in your body that you feel that you just cannot get control of.
Yeah.
So I'll let our other sisters share as well.
That's good.
Yes. Looking back, I didn't realize that what I was experiencing in my 40s was actually perimenopause. So I remember the time where my cycles became irregular. I used to have really heavy cycles, and in 2015, I had an ablation done. Now, with the ablation, I still would just spot every month.
Mhm.
But it would just be like crazy. And like my husband would be like, what's going on here? And I would be looking at him like, well, no, I don't know what's going on, And so even, with having
This is real. You see what I'm doing right now?
sexual relations, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then, you thinking that everything is good, like, okay, well, that is supposed to be coming out for another 2 weeks. Like, what's going on? And so I didn't realize all of that was a part of the symptoms. I had no idea. Now, what I've been experiencing, I would say it kind of got worse, is like with my joints. So I always say I got a bad left hip. It still ain't right. I'm in therapy right now for it because of it. Like, it pops. I can hardly walk sometimes. I'm a massage. I'm still doing massage therapy. I'm a
Oh,
massage therapist. You know what I'm saying? And so I tried to pivot, like I'm trying to explain. And so I have these honest conversations with my husband. Like, he already know now, like I'm hot. I used to be a cold person, cold
yeah.
all the
The
time.
time.
Not now. I be hot. So I don't even sleep with no clothes on. How about that? I
Gosh.
can try, but then I just end up just taking everything off because I get hot. Like, I tried it last night. I said, okay, I think maybe tonight, it's a little bit colder. Well, I think I might sleep in some pajamas. I laid down and said, no, this ain't even gonna work.
Wow.
Could not do it. Couldn't do it. And so it is definitely, we have to be aware. I think having the awareness of what to expect becomes very important part of the conversation, because again, looking back, I was like, oh wow, I've been in perimenopause for quite some time, and I didn't even recognize or understand that that's what it was. But the joint pain, I used to have the real bad headaches, where it would be like sometimes a couple days where I couldn't do anything, like head just throbbing all day long for no reason. So I would just say, oh, well, maybe it's just the weather. Maybe it's just a sinus headache.
Right.
No, that was perimenopause stuff on it.
I didn't
Sure.
know. I guess I didn't realize so many people had headaches. I hear a lot about the hot flashes, and I'm like, Lord, please. I really don't want to have to deal with them flashes. I
Y'all
just
see
been
what I'm
dealing with a lot
doing?
of the other stuff.
This how fast it can.
Yeah. I've had people say that they'll be fine, and then they just feel like an oven, like just switched on like that. But I wanted to
Burning inferno.
I did want to say this to those that are listening. Like, this
Like
whole
right now.
conversation came about because I can't remember what I was doing. I'm always researching something, but I had a hunch. For a long time, I pay attention to patterns. Anybody knows me, I observe patterns and I pay attention to patterns. And I always notice that a lot of marriages fall apart when children are young and or when their kids are older, but they're kind of like in that middle age menopausal stage. And I found some research that backed that up about people divorcing and women saying that they felt that menopause played a role in their divorce. And it was talking about women that were menopausal going through divorce because menopause can cause changes to a woman's libido. It can cause changes in, as far as her sexual functioning and different things like that. There's a lot of things that happen and change with a woman's body. And sometimes that can cause issues in a marriage. I've seen women just abruptly get divorces like for no reason. But sometimes the mood swings and all that stuff coming together, sometimes, peri and menopause and different things could have been a part of it. But I did see where these women said, I think it was 7 out of 10 of the people that were part of the survey said that they blamed menopause for their divorce. So, and I know some people are like, well, I don't agree with that. I said, unfortunately, I can't disagree with somebody telling me why they got divorced. I mean,
Right.
and we know that divorce happens for a lot of reasons. I don't knock people for divorce. Divorce, that's between them, that person, and God. And so there's a lot of reasons why marriages may dissolve. But I just found it interesting that could happen. And the reason that why that's important is because the reason why I think that's important to know is because many women are dealing with perimenopause and don't know it, like you guys said earlier. And so I'm dealing with all these things. I feel like my body is falling apart. I'm forgetting. I'm hot. I'm sweating. I have no libido. And on top of that, this is starting to take a toll on your marriage, but you don't even realize what you're dealing with. And so I do believe that stuff like that can definitely happen. So when I saw that, I was like, this is very, very interesting. And then that's when I said, hey, maybe we need to have this conversation. Because I remember I was talking to another woman of God a while ago, and same thing. She's sitting there fanning on it. We talking and she fanning, we talking on Zoom, and I'm just a flashing. And again, same conversation. No one said anything. No one told me. And it's like, I think the most important thing to tell women is that it's going to happen. Number 2, you don't know how it's going to look in you. You don't know when it's going to happen. Kind of like the Lord's return. You don't know when. You don't know when. So you don't know when it's going to happen, but you know it is going to happen. You don't know what your symptoms or severity is going to look like, because somebody may have terrible debilitating symptoms and somebody else may not have it that bad. Another thing is just being prepared so that you can cope with it and prepare to adjust. You have to adjust. It's important to make sure we try, because another thing that happens with a lot of women as they go through the transition of perimenopause to menopause is weight gain. That's one thing my mom talked to me sternly about. She's a stickler on stuff like that. And so, trying your best to eat healthy, trying your best to stay active. You are fighting against your body's changes, but I do believe that sometimes we don't have to put on as much weight that may necessarily come. And so we may not be able to avoid everything, but we may be able to avoid some of it. So I want you to share other things you think that people need to know.
I think that when it comes to
you cannot go through this process. No, you go ahead.
Okay. I think that it becomes very important, to especially for those who are married, to have those conversations with your spouse. Because I told my husband, I said, look, your body changing too. I'm not the only one that's changing around here. Men go through changes. Theirs may not be like ours, but they have changes as well. And I believe that when we can have those conversations with one another, that we're more patient, with each other. We're more understanding of what actually is going on in our physical bodies. And when you made that post about the divorce rates, I know that to be true because when I take a look back at when I was experiencing what I was experiencing, that's why we were experiencing what we were experiencing in our marriage.
Wow.
Absolutely. And so we have to be prepared for that and to provide people with the resources so that they know how to handle that. Because how do you handle where you're just not feeling like yourself? There's a many days I just don't feel like myself, and I just have to say, you know what? It's just one of those days. Maybe I just need to go lay down and take a nap because I'm just tired. And sometimes I will do that. Thank God I have the schedule where I can. My schedule is
Mhm.
very flexible. And so if I feel like that I'm tired today and I want to take a nap, or I'm tired today and I'm not getting up working, or I stayed up so late because I have the sleepless nights, I can't go to sleep, and so you have to be prepared for all of the circumstances and the situations so that you are aware of how you need to navigate.
I want to say one more thing because what you said was very important. I think it's important for women to know what's going on with their body, regardless of where they are in life. But I
Mhm.
do think it's so urgently important for married women to
Yes.
recognize that, because you can recognize what's going on, because I do believe it spills over into your marriage,
Oh,
whether
it
it's the
does.
low libido, whether it's the moodiness,
Mhm.
whether it's the fatigue, whatever, all those different symptoms, you're changing. And then I believe a lot of women, especially, like I can say for myself, you're like, what is wrong with me? What is
Mhm.
going on? Why am I not my normal self? What is
Mhm.
happening? And so you're dealing with
Mhm.
all that. And your husband's like, hey, let's go have an ice cream Sunday and hold hands. And you're like, no, because
Mhm.
you're drenched in sweat, you're having hot flashes or
Mhm.
whatever. And so I do think it's important that women recognize it, that they know it's coming, they're
Mhm.
prepared for it, and that
Mhm.
they're able to talk to their spouse so they can have some understanding, that there's some communication, and there can be some patience and some realistic
Yes.
expectations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just yeah. And then
Absolutely.
sometimes women have to recognize, and I'm not saying, I joked about it, but yeah, definitely, you're not feeling right, go to the doctor, because, and that's another
Yes.
thing, everything is not perimenopause. So that's why it
Mhm.
is important to go to the doctor. And I did go to the doctor because you need to check on yourself and know what's going on, because, as we see, a lot of the stuff was peri, but then unfortunately,
Mhm.
simultaneously, other things could be happening, my point as well. And so you always want to make sure,
Absolutely.
when you're absolutely not feeling yourself, you go to the doctor to make sure there's not something more serious or more concerning going on that will require some absolute medical treatment. Because the truth of the matter is, there's nothing they really can do when you say you have perimenopause. There's no
Mm-mm.
magic pill to make these symptoms go away. And so
No,
that's another thing people have to understand. That's why the Bible talks about let patience
that is perfect work.
let patience work through you, because you're gonna need some patience to let
You
Perry
will.
work through you, because there's not
Mhm.
a lot they can really do. I know when it comes to like hormone replacement therapy and estrogen, different women have different opinions and beliefs on it. I tell people, you got, that's between you and God. Do what you want to do. That's their choice. But I just think it's so important, especially as married women, that we have those conversations with our spouse. I'm glad you mentioned that, having that conversation with your spouse and making sure your spouse is on the same page and that there's understanding, so there's no discord in your marriage. And my
Mhm.
husband is so funny. He be noticing stuff about me before I've noticed stuff about me.
Yeah.
and and so I'm grateful for that. But I do, let me see. Okay, so we're getting low on time. So what I want you guys to do, Yerinita, I want to swing back around to you. I want you to talk about the group, and the, I don't know the right word I'm trying to pick out, if my brain would function with me right now, but I want you to talk about the effort you've been putting together to educate and tell women about perimenopause, and to be a support. I do believe women need that support, because when you're going through that stuff alone and you don't know what's going on, it can be scary. And so I think it's important to have support. in place. And so I want you to talk about your efforts and what you got going on.
I was looking for answers. I was getting some answers, and then I know now I'm becoming an answer because of what I want. And I've found some things that's working for me to help me stay sane. I'm more of a holistic thing, and things that I've implemented. I was like, you know what if I maybe this and let people decide whether they want to go this approach or not. But I just started a group on Facebook called Perry Mrs. Oz.
Perry, what?
And I opened it up.
Can
Mrs.
you say the
Perry
name again?
and Mrs. Pause. Mrs.
Okay.
Mrs. Perry.
Okay.
And Mrs. Pauls. I got you.
And I've just been, not a lot of women jumped in there like I thought they would, but they're coming. They're
Yeah.
coming. So I'm already posting things in there, even down to natural things, supplements I'm taking. I'll be putting recipes in there. I just want it to be a safe place for them to come and say, you know what, I'm not losing my mind. And I have a sisterhood around me that's walking through the same thing, and we can do it together. I believe that I've gone this far because I do have a couple of faithful friends who are saying to me, Nita, we got you. And I know that I'm not married yet, but I am in a relationship, and I do explain all these different things. Because you imagine if we're out on a date and I'm just like, can you open up a window? Well, we at the theater. You can't open up. And so you saw me. This thing is real. So not just the husband, but anybody
That's
that is
very
living
true.
with you, that's
That is very
directly
true.
affected by you, please tell them, tell them what I'm going through. I was the crying. I'm like, man, I feel so able. Like, I really want to get a grip on this, but I will. Number one advice I want to give yourself grace. This is a big change. Give yourself grace because you're going to get stronger over time. And that's with anything. So you'll find me on Facebook, Mrs. Perry and Mrs. Paul. And I'll be sharing what I can, statistics and my personal journey there.
That's good.
Yes.
Anything you wanted to share? Anything people should know?
Well, you have to find, again, I think that we've talked about this, you have to find what's going to work for you. Not everything works for everybody. Now, when the hot flashes and stuff came back like a ravenous beast, that was when, well, let me back up. So, our sister friend Denise has the products. And so I had tried the hormone tea. And I said, this hormone tea, I don't know. She says it's the same, but it didn't taste all that good to me. So I was like, I'm not taking that. So I just kind of just left it on the shelf. But when them things came back, I said, I don't know if I got the express, but I'm ordering this tea and we're going to see what it's going to be. And literally within 11 days, I started balancing out where I wasn't having any hot flashes and no more night sweats. Now,
Wow.
in 11 days. Now, what I will say is, well, I wonder how long I'm going to have to be on this tea. So we went to North Carolina for Thanksgiving. Now, I brought the tea with me. I just didn't get the tea. So I hadn't had any tea from Tuesday until that following Monday. By the time that Monday came, them hot flashes kicked back in. And I said, okay. So I know that this is something that works for me. So today is probably the first day where I have not had them. I've maybe had maybe two hot flashes.
Was it every day before then?
It was every day, all throughout the day.
That's debilitating.
Yes. It really is, because it's like it just comes on you and then it's just like you're just so hot and then you get cold. It's like you don't even, and sometimes you have to change your clothes because your clothes are wet.
Oh my gosh.
So that definitely, her hormone tea definitely works for me. And so I take it, and like I said, it's today. I think that will probably today that is kind of like balancing it out, but find what's going to work for you. There's a couple of groups that I've been in and have recommended,
Yeah.
some of the natural supplements as well. But yeah, when you find what works for you, just keep taking it into and ask the Lord if you need to come off of it.
I have the hormone tea. I honestly haven't even tried it yet. I think I may have tried the immune tea because it's a loose tea. I bought the things on Amazon to steep it and do it with, but I just been a little lazy. But one thing I
Mhm.
have been doing is the soursop leaf tea. And ever
That's
since I
good.
did that, I started
Yes.
feeling more like myself.
Mhm.
I've been feeling better. I feel like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm finally getting my strength back because I felt like I was falling apart. Like somebody done
Yes.
kicked over a pile of Legos. Like, what is going on? And so
Mhm.
soursop leaf tea. I definitely try to have fruit, plenty of water, different things like that.
Yes.
I personally like mushroom coffee. I do that. I don't really do any pop. I stopped drinking pop and stuff like that probably over
Okay.
10 years ago. But just doing what I can to take care of myself.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think I still
Yeah.
have the hormone tea upstairs. I have to look. I'm always buying stuff and then be like, oh no, I'm so
Yeah.
scary. I just be I
You
be
know, because
Yeah.
because I'd be like, well, what if it don't taste
I have
good?
to
Like
share.
so,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
one thing I do is I mix stuff like sometimes like
I have to share
finally
one
Starbucks
thing.
has stopped gatekeeping the tea and you can buy the Tivana teas again to make your own
Yeah.
medicine ball teas again. It's on
Yes.
Amazon
Yes.
because they bought
Yeah.
out Tivana and then gatekeep the tea, but it's back. And so what I like to do is make a tea like I'm making medicine ball tea and then add whatever tea. So like now if
Mhm.
I go get a honey citrus mint tea from Starbucks. If I
Mhm.
feel like it, I'll add the ginger root, and then I'll put the sour sop leaf tea. Let that steep in there with it too, and then drink that. But
Yeah.
I've
That's
definitely
good.
been into teas more. I've been laying off coffee except for mushroom coffee.
Mhm.
But this
Yes.
is a journey.
It
This
is.
is a roller coaster ride. I'm trying
Mhm.
to figure out why nobody was. It's just
Yes.
weird to me. I think one reason why this topic hasn't been having, I think it's embarrassment and shame. I think a lot of women are afraid of the vulnerability. Like, I don't understand why a woman having a menstrual cycle is taboo, and that is something that is
Right.
common to all women. Now, we're not
Mhm.
getting graphic and getting into
Right.
details, but the concept of it should not, you learn that in biology class. Like, this should not
Mhm.
be a scary thing to talk about. I think
Mhm.
it's the vulnerability. I think it's embarrassment. I think sometimes I don't know. I think sometimes we just be too scared to say any. I don't get it. Like sometimes I understand, being private because I'm a very
Yeah.
private person, but a conversation like this shouldn't cause you to, clutch your
Right. Clutch your
pearls and be like,
pearls.
do it. And we just sitting
Yeah.
Oh,
here, three ladies, love God, talking
Mhm.
about what happens to women,
yeah.
what some of our experience has been through, why
Mhm.
this topic is important, what we want other people to know, and things like that. But Shelby, I do want you to talk a little bit more about. You do a lot of holistic stuff. I need you to kind of roll the list out and not give us. I need the whole list.
Yes.
Podcast. I know you do like with the plants and stuff because I all of it. Lay it all out. We need it.
Yes, yeah. So I'm all definitely all things holistic. So people often reach out, hey, I've got this issue going on. Can you tell me something? Do you have a
Right.
recommendation? So whether it's essential oils, whether it's herbs, some teas, I'm gonna have a resource. And if I don't know it, then I know somebody else that can get me the information for it. Because this stuff that they be having out here, I don't want to be popping a bunch of pills. I would rather take 10 vitamins and supplements
Yeah.
than to be having a whole counter full of medication and prescriptions that's
Yeah.
causing more issues.
More side effects.
So yes, yeah. Well, nobody has time for all of that. So yeah, I make sure that I take my all my vitamins, my supplements. Now, one thing that I will say is that if we can come off of sugar, I noticed back in 2018, 2019, that when I cut sugar out, like I can't even like eat it like how I used to. You may see me baking a cake, but I probably have maybe like 2 slices of that cake. That cake more than likely will go in the trash. I just can't. My body has adapted to not having it. But I noticed that when I have a lot of sugar, I'm more warm feeling in my body.
I was going to say that because just in general, sugar feeds inflammation in the body. And I had
Mm-hmm.
been begging somebody to stop eating so much sugar, and they just would chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. And then somebody told them to stop eating all that sugar, and their hot flashes got better. Like,
Yes.
they weren't as bad. Let me make sure I'm saying
Yes.
that correctly.
Yes. They weren't
And
as
so
bad.
I've had women say that, hey, because I'll post it, and I've posted it many times, like, hey, I'm getting ready to do a sugar detox. Who want to join me? We're going to do at least 30 some days with no sugar,
Mm-hmm.
and your clarity, your mind, your body, you feel so much better.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I've had women say, I cut out sugar or I reduced sugar, and the symptoms I was having
Yes.
in my
Mm-hmm.
body related to perimenopause and leading up to menopause, I feel better now.
Mm-hmm.
Those symptoms aren't
Absolutely.
as bad.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
that's why I was
That
talking about
was
diet earlier, and trying to
yes.
do what the best that we can.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So I do
absolutely. So
like
that is
my
definitely
peppermint
one thing that has worked for me. And that's usually the first thing that I ask people, how much sugar are you consuming?
Oh,
Because if you're consuming a lot of sugar, that's going to kick up them symptoms.
yep.
And so like I said, I know
Shows
that
that comfort.
personally for myself. Cut it out, wasn't having it. I was good. So imagine to my surprise when they came back, I was like, oh, this body must be changing again because this is some craziness right here. Okay, so now I'm gonna need to do something else. But yeah, podcasts, blogs, you can find me shelbyfrederick.com, on social media and all of the places. You're gonna always see me talking about something holistic.
I love it. I love it. So I want to say thank you to both of you ladies for agreeing to be a part of this with me. I know this was a little sporadic, but I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. I've seen the needs. I see the post online. I'm excited that more and more women are talking about this. I believe as more and more people become aware and become educated, more people won't get knocked out by Mike Tyson like we did. So let's do the
Mhm.
next generation a service by making sure they're prepared. They know that, hey, this is coming. I don't know when you're going to really recognize the symptoms, but at some point, your body is going to start changing in a way that you're going to notice what's happening. And so I want to say
Yes.
thank you to everybody that's tuned in and that's watching this. And I want to say God bless you and thank you all for listening.
All right. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.